Hello, everyone. My name is Marko, Maunula, as Clive mentioned, and engineer and grumpy old man describes me quite well. And today I try to explain that what is the philosophy behind the product development, what we are running. So, futurist technologies, they love paradox. There are plenty of these. This is originating from 1966. And that originally meant that we can know more than we can tell. Try to explain to the neighbor how to drive bike if no one has seen how to drive bike. If you try to describe in the written format that what are the instructions that how you run the bicycle, you always tell that or it's teach that once you learn, you can always do it, but it's extremely hard. And there are plenty of similar paradox that, for example, Moravec found out in the 1980s that there are the things that the high-level decision making is actually, from the computing power perspective, it's easy to automate. So that's the most easiest thing to automate the managers. The high-level decision making is easy to automate, but when you go to the closer to the sensor motoric things like driving a bicycle, it's done harder and harder. It requires more computing power and so on. And when we go further, there has been the industrial revolutions in our past. The first, and there was the mechanization, the steam engine, and what we get it from it was basically the origin of football and the Luddites. They basically were resisting the change, and when the mechanization took place, they were new time, they were free time for the first time for the humans. And what they spent, they activated on the area of sports and that kind of thing. Then the second big change in our history was with the electricity, the mass production. So that it fundamentally changed our industry, and it turns that once more people moved from the agriculture to the production activities. And then basically what we are living at the moment is the transition between the digitalization and the fourth industrial revolution of the IoT and artificial intelligence. And it actually happened a while ago. So if you look at this megatrend, digitalization behind all this, it's basically the same age as I am. That's the Intel 4004. It came public on 15th of November 1971. So I came up a week earlier. But that was the fundamental change in our industry. It was the first modular CPU that was available for everyone. And at that time, it changed the finance department completely, because at that point, all the calculators were replaced with the electronic ones, because that was the first thing that you could bring into mass production into the finance departments. And then the right-hand side of the presentation, there's the latest change from the Intel, it's Intel Nirvana. It's meant for the artificial intelligence. It's really sophisticated piece of chip that is really meant on that. And if you think about the capacity there, that left-hand side, 4004 Intel, it held 2,300 transistors on that. And nowadays we can consist in 1 square millimeter, 100 million transistors. And just to compare it to the human brains, the human brains has like the same amount, 100 million brain cells or synapses, but they have 10,000 connections. That is still missing from the computer side, but it's coming. So that's fundamentally changing. And what does it bring? It basically makes possible the rise of automation and robots in the multiple manners, meaning that we can these highly computing intensive sensor motoric skills, we can produce them with the machine. It can learn the things, and we see in the autonomous vehicles and so on. There are plenty of things happening there. And then the other one major thing is that what Ellen MacArthur Foundation has stated, that is the decoupling the growth from the constraints, meaning that we are able to do the things that we haven't been able to do beforehand. But IoT brings up opportunity to track down every piece of information, and it means opens up the whole new way of the optimization of the stuff. So it's basically decoupling. And also when we have the constraint that the human power, manpower on certain production operations, it's no limitation, because you can produce that fully automatic. They operate 24/7 and there's no constraints. And one fundamental thing, what I see that is the big difference in this stage, that this change will take the faster pace than ever before. So if you think about the original industrial investments, there the investment cycle was 20, 30, 40 years, even 100-year plans. But now if you think about the speed how the IT is evolving, so it means that every second year the technology you have, it's outdated. So the speed of the adoption is much faster than ever before. And this makes it possible that now there's finally sudden change. The Polonais was waiting for this with his paradox since 1966, and now that has already started. And the fourth industrial revolution is already progress. So resistance is futile. So it's just that you adapt and acknowledge that the change is happening around you. You can't stop it. If you want to stop this phenomena and the evolution or revolution, how you want to, it would require something significant change in the mankind, meaning earthquake or asteroid hitting the country or Earth. But it means that it's unstoppable. So it means from your business perspective that this is what you need to adapt and try to understand how you put these pieces together. And in order to show how this evolve has gone, I think that this Boston Dynamics, it's one path that you should all follow. This shows in fine manner how the different technologies has combined. This is the machine learning, machine visioning, IoT, communication, all that stuff. It's built into this box. It weighs roughly 30 kilos. It's 85 centimeters tall. It can operate alone 90 minutes. So it does communicate, it does recognize the place where it's originating, and so on. A few years back, this piece of technology, it was well tied into the building, so it was cabled, and all the computing took place outside of the box. Now, when we have a sufficient capabilities, it consumes less electricity, so meaning that the human brain operates with the voltage or the power consumption of the light bulb, so we are gradually getting that. So the Boston Dynamics is really driving forward robotics development. And this is just one of samples of them. There are plenty of others. So if you think about the artificial intelligence in general, there are plenty of areas where it will have a huge investment. And the first thing is that image recognition, classification, and tagging, that's really like the big area. And that's pretty much what the finance and the customer service is all about. You need to be able to interpret the information you see and you have on. Then it's like the next big thing is that the trading. And I have been working in the investment bank over ages ago. At that time, I spent time to calculating of trading power of the derivatives position. And if I think that what is possible nowadays compared to the time 15, 20 years ago, it's totally different. And it means that you have seen the trading desks, they have shifted around. There's not that many people anymore. There's the high-frequency trading that it has taken. So that's all. Then the one dimension of the machine vision is the integrating the patient data, and this is really what I see that can benefit for the whole mankind, meaning that you can always have this second opinion instead of the doctor from the machine, and it will fundamentally change that area. So there are different areas of the investment or where the artificial intelligence is going in, and it means that the different businesses will have a different kind of impact. This is the Stratica summary about the things that how the different businesses will be impacted. And we have seen the latest news about that, how the customer service has changed, meaning that you don't actually know that if you are having a conversation with a human being or the machine. It's meaning that the computer is capable of detecting your intent, what you intend to do, and is capable of serving that need. So it will have a huge impact. Then we have discussed about the next best offer, how the consumer, how the pricing is adapting to your needs and reactions. That's also going to be the big area. Then there are plenty of other things, and I don't know how they ended up that the finance has so tiny impact. Because I clearly see that it's what the finance is about. It's about customer service, about interpreting the information, and so on. It should have like a tremendous impact on this industry, and it will. McKinsey is putting this other way around, that what kind of industries, that what are the potential of the business, and what is the outcome of, or the impact on the level. So it's the artificial intelligence and advanced analytics, how they can change the whole environment. And there are plenty of other things related to it. But it's clearly that it will be a tremendous change for the mankind. And that also sets the question, what is the work remains for humans? I don't know, and it's an extremely good question. So if you think about the industrial revolutions earlier, it has changed from the agriculture to the mass production and industrialization. It meant that the people have moved to the cities and so on. What is the next step will change our life? And that's what we try to explore in the ICO Research Lab, where we try to demonstrate and explore the opportunities of the technologies, meaning that co-creation with the customers, testing the new technologies that we can't run inside our product. It's like really the future-looking technology, what we try to accomplish there. And what we try to, at the moment, for example, is to accomplish artificial intelligence into the certain transaction matching and decision-making process in the finance. And it's extremely promising, and there's a lot of coming on that area. And similar manner, meaning this service side, chatbots and all that stuff, what we try to incorporate. And the ICO Research Lab is like a forum for the people. It's not meant for the customers, it's meant for to be a society where the different parties in the industry can have conversations. It includes that there are technology partners, there are our customers, there are also parties that are not our customers. It's really meant for everyone going there. So it's basically the place to test and try the technologies that are not able to incorporate into the product directly, because it means that we have running processes, running businesses, and we can't interfere with that. So if we think about then what is ahead of us, so all this artificial intelligence on all that, this is the famous note about the book, and it means that we have the ultimate truth at one place. So there has been a conversation how the artificial intelligence and genetics and all that will incorporate or change our life. There's a famous scientist, Raymond Kurzweil, who has stated that singularity is there. And the singularity is basically the point where the computing capacity is actually exceeding the human mental capacity. So by his prediction, that will happen in 29, so we have roughly 11 years before that happens. But at that point, it means that the computers can actually evolve faster by themselves than controlled by the humans. So that's totally different situation. And if you then think about what is the correlation, causality, and all that relationship, it means that we can easily do things, meaning that artificial intelligence becomes available everywhere, meaning that you have a huge computing capacity in your pocket, you have a mobile phone, it's connected with the high bandwidth to the something external system. So you have a tremendous amount of computing capacity with you. So it can listen to you, it can do the service you, it can detect the context, meaning that what Bianca mentioned about this contextual phenomena, meaning that it knows your identity, and so what it can bring to you, it can detect that you are outside of your house and you don't have a keys, all these kind of things becomes possible. But it also means that it's able to detect that if there's something with your physics, meaning that you are going to get sick and all that stuff, it's suddenly available that the artificial intelligence will detect that from your behavior. But then there has to be a warning about that. What is the correlation and causality? It's easy because now when you have all these fancy artificial intelligence tools, you can build autocorrelation models. It means that you can find out the correlations, endless and endless correlations. Machine will tell that it correlates that now when it's sun is shining, the more ice cream is sold. But simultaneously it also finds out that when there's more ice cream sold, there are more people drowning on the lakes. So if you do the kind of just a correlation detection that we stop and ban selling ice cream, you don't actually prevent people drowning. So this is like that the causality and the correlation is really that you need to understand the business still in order to utilize the artificial intelligence in your business environment, meaning that you need to know what is the business about. You can bring a lot of things with the artificial intelligence into the equation, but you need to know how it behaves and what it does. So in order to make it clear, there's still some tiny things to do. So this is the continuum, or actually further point of that mini spot. It's not unbeatable. Thank you.